Alright guys, welcome back to another Fortnite video, and in this one, it is time to talk about some update news. It is Sunday, so a new update is probably just around the corner. So I've got a bunch of things to talk about that are going to be probably in the next update. Stuff revealed by Epic Games that they're working on, things like that, including like a change to the stormwing, some news with Merry Marauder, some update news that has already happened, and also a bunch of other things that you definitely want to see. So overall, it's going to be a very fun video. I love talking about update news with you guys. I love keeping you guys up to date, so it should be a lot of fun. And speaking of stuff like that, there's been a couple of awesome things to come into the item shop recently, so thank you to all of you who have been using my code TheLlamaSir in the item shop and helping support me, and shout out to some of these people for tweeting me a picture of them using my code. Again, occasionally, sometimes I randomly choose people that tweet me a picture of them using my supporter creator code and shout out their names in a video. So yeah guys, but thanks again to all of you who have been using my code. But yeah guys, remember to hit that like button down below if you enjoy the video, and also comment what pickaxe are you guys using currently. For me, it's the icicle pickaxe. I've been loving this one because it's got like the special swing effects and stuff like that, but I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. But without further ado here, let's jump into the first thing and get into like the general info that we can predict about this next update. Now, first of all, we do know that the next update is more than likely going to be the 7.10 update. That means, guys, that it's a bigger update since it jumped up from 7.01 to 7.1. That does generally mean that there's going to probably be more in it. Now, as of right now, we haven't seen like a new item or weapon that's going to be added. I would predict that we're going to be getting some news on that tomorrow on Monday, and I'll be tweeting about that. You guys know I will. I really have no idea what it'll be, but I'm expecting something cool. I'm expecting something like a weapon. I feel like we haven't had a new weapon in a while. So yeah, but on top of that, when can you expect this update? Well, judging from previous releases of updates similar to this, it's most likely going to be released this Tuesday, and that is on, gotta pull up the calendar. Tuesday is the 18th. So that would just make sense. They tend to release updates on Tuesday. It could maybe be Wednesday, but Wednesdays, as you know, are a little bit less likely for updates. Now, as for the time, I would think it would probably be 5 a.m. Eastern time, because that's when they released the 7.01 update. So I think they might have switched from doing 4 a.m. updates to starting at 5 a.m. for like the downtime and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, be sure to expect that. But then after that, as you guys know, the Infinity Blade has been vaulted. That's not really some important news, because I'm sure a ton of you guys know that, but instead, the reason that I bring it up is because I want to discuss, is it going to come back in the future? So in case you missed the announcement, they basically said on Twitter, and I'm sure some other places as well, they said, hey folks, we messed up and rolled out the Infinity Blade overpowered / without good counters, especially in the end game. The Infinity Blade has been vaulted and we are reevaluating our approach to mythic items. Thanks for calling us out on this. So yeah, basically what I want to highlight in that, is there a possibility of the Infinity Blade coming back, but with some nerfs to make it a more fair item in the game? It was really hard to defend against. In fact, the only way to really defend against it was with balloons. But the way that they're saying it, I'm not sure if they are going to be bringing it back. They say that it's been vaulted and that they're reevaluating their approach to mythic items. I mean, when they say vaulted, has an item ever been unvaulted? I can't quite remember. But then since they recognized that it was overpowered without good counters, especially in the end game, are they thinking of ways to sort of balance it out? Or maybe they're going to add it into a limited time mode like they did with the Thanos mode way back when, and that's just a guess, but I do think that would be a good idea, because honestly, the Thanos mode was a ton of fun, and the Infinity Blade acts similar to that. But overall, when I'm looking at this, I think it's just too early to say whether or not it'll be coming back, and I would guess that it's just too early for even them to say if they're going to be bringing it back or not, so I think that would make sense. But yeah, keeping it going here with the next thing I want to go over, this has to do with the stormwings. Actually, these two are possibly a bit overpowered in their current state. I think they could use a couple of nerfs, and as of right now, we do know of one nerf that is going to be coming to the stormwings. So this comes from Mr. Popo TFS, a reply he had on his Twitter and stuff like that. But basically what he said is that they are going to be upping the damage that you take when you're in a stormwing and it gets destroyed. Currently, it is 25 damage, which is decent, but it's not really that high of a risk. So apparently in the 7.10 update, they are going to be changing it to 50 damage, which is definitely quite a bit more risky. I don't really see them going any higher than that. I don't really think it would make much sense to go higher than that. So yeah, I think that's a good change. I'd be curious to see if they make any other changes to it in the future as well. But as of right now, that is the one that we know about. And if they were to add other nerfs, I could see maybe like, a lot of people have been talking about if there was like a fuel limit so you can't fly around the entire time. I do think that's a good idea. Also, maybe not being able to like break through structures without any damage being taken. I think that maybe could be changed as well, but I'm curious to see how this change plays out. So yeah, after that then though, though, this one is like a very slight possibility, but I still wanted to bring it up because I'm curious if you guys have been experiencing the same thing. I guess this is easier to tell on PC, but have you guys been experiencing any like FPS drops lately? Personally, for me, I did feel like I was noticing this. I did feel like, especially in maybe like Team Rumble, that my FPS has been lower than it used to be, and I'm wondering if you guys have experienced the same thing. If you're on consoles, maybe it feels a little bit more rough. I'm just curious to see, because Epic Boomer on Reddit commented on a post about FPS reaching out for more information about the issue, so it's possible they could be looking into a fix if a bunch of people seem to be experiencing this. So that's just like a maybe update. Maybe we'll be getting FPS improvements in the future, but I still wanted to bring it up. After that then though, this one you may know about, but it's still pretty important to talk about. And don't worry guys, the stuff about Merry Marauder is coming up soon, and that is some really cool stuff. But yeah, this piece of update info is pretty important as well, and that is the fact that, you know, more mythic items are probably going to be coming into the game soon. Or I shouldn't say soon, but there's two main pieces of info that we got about this. The first one is smaller, and that is from that post that we just went over, the Twitter post. It said specifically that, again, the Infinity Blade has been vaulted and we are reevaluating our approach to mythic items. With that being said, there were more mythic items being planned to be added into the game. But again, that is the smaller bit of info that we got. The bigger piece of info that we got is from a Reddit post from Epic, and that contains a bunch of info about mythic items. Now keep in mind, this is before they vaulted the Infinity Blade and made that post about reevaluating the mythic items, but still gives us a view of what their plans were for mythic items and still can give us an idea of what they may be. So first of all, they said that the presence of mythic items in gameplay is to provide an interaction a step above the legendary item functionality, and obviously that's like, you know, any legendary item you pick up. That itself is pretty interesting and pretty straightforward. Obviously we had like the Thanos thing, the Infinity Blade. Those gave you like some pretty special abilities, and I think that's kind of the key to mythic items, is the fact that they do give you some sort of special ability or multiple special abilities, because it does have to be better than a legendary item you just pick up off the ground, such as like a legendary pump shotgun. And actually they go on to say, to us that means changing the way the game is played for those who interact with that item. So again, I guess it has to be a pretty unique item. And then they also go on to say that they provide flavorful ways to interact with the map and generally shake up normal play across default modes. Now there's two main things about that. The first of which that stands out to me is the thing about default modes. I'm assuming that they mean solo, duos, and squads when they talk about that, and also that's what the Infinity Blade was in. And again, I do think they may reevaluate this specifically in the future, but as of before the decision to vault the Infinity Blade, it seemed like mythic items would be items in the default mode and not limited time modes. However, that could definitely change, again, judging by that updated post they made. But on top of that, they also said ways to interact with the map. That itself I find very interesting, because that could mean a bunch of different things outside of like the abilities of the item itself. They could maybe be referencing how like the Infinity Blade had a special spawn on the map and you had to go there and pick it up. And honestly, I did kind of enjoy the battles around the blade itself. Those were kind of fun, I do admit, but maybe we'll be seeing more stuff like that. Like you have to do special things on the map in order to grab mythic items. Who really knows? Like imagine if you had to go to the underground bunker and there was an item hidden behind like a force field and you had to do damage to the force field in order to get it. Or maybe like the Zapotron would be behind that. That would honestly be pretty fun. I'd be down for that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much what they said about it. So I do think mythic items still will be coming, and I think they should as long as they're done right, but pretty interesting overall. But after that then, guys, we need to talk about something that's really important and has to do with skins, and that is the Merry Marauder, and specifically something that's a change to Merry Marauder, and also more proof that he is probably coming back into the item shop very soon. In fact, I'm almost like 100% sure this skin has to come back into the item shop just because of all the clues we've seen and this clue right here. So yes, when I say change, I'm actually talking about a possible variant to Merry Marauder that you may be able to get. Now the reason I say that is because there is actually a clue hidden within the Battle Pass. That is right, guys. If you go into the Battle Pass and check out Tier 12 actually, so most of you probably have this unlocked. However, since it was so early on, you might have missed it, but it's this specific loading screen right here that shows Ginger Gunner on the left, but also Merry Marauder on the right. And if you look at that, it seems like he has two variants. That is right, guys. In the frontmost one looks like a burnt gingerbread man type cookie, which actually looks pretty cool. And you can see that there's like a sort of fire or lava on his shoulder. I would assume that maybe that's animated. I don't really know, but it definitely does look like a separate variant. And I know what you're thinking. How can we say this is pointing towards a new variant and not just random random art. Well, first of all, they don't usually add random art of things that aren't in the game. I mean, you look at all of the other, like, sort of concept art type loading screens we have, a bunch of them are for skins that made it into the game. In fact, one of the best examples of this is Sergeant Winter, and one of his variants with the loot llama head. His variants are on a loading screen as well. So that by itself is very important, but I mean, there's tons of concept art for these skins, and that fits in with the art style of those concepts. So I do think we will be seeing a variant, and that means that it's probably going to be coming back into the shop pretty soon. I guess it is possible it could be a separate variant, but since they're on like the same page, it looks like, you know, it would be part of one skin. Don't know for sure yet, but I'm still excited to see it. And if it does come back, guys, be sure to use code TheLlamaSir if you want to help support me, but definitely pretty cool overall. But speaking of stuff that might come into the item shop, this one is actually sort of an extra. I sort of touched on it in my last video where we went over like a bunch of other skins that are most likely going to be returning as well, but I forgot to like talk about it. I added a little note, but basically it's likely that the candy axe could come back, and the reason I say that is because in the season 7 trailer, at this point right here, you can see some of the characters carrying the candy axe. So again, I think this could be a clue that it would be probably re-releasing, considering that the slushy soldiers, that's hard to say, were in this scene as well, and they were released, so I think that's likely. But then for the final thing I wanted to talk about in this video, just real quick, if you guys have been experiencing some like bugs with the zip lines, and I've ran into a couple of them, they're new to the game, it's bound to happen. According to the official Fortnite Trello page, they are looking into these issues, so hopefully some of those zipline issues get fixed fairly soon. There's not a ton more details about it, but it looks like they are indeed looking into it, and they've actually been looking into it for a little bit now, since December 6th, I believe, kind of, I don't know. That's the date on when they added it to the Trello page, so I guess I don't know exactly like how long they've been actually looking into a fix, but either way, hopefully some of those bugs do indeed get fixed soon. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe for more fun videos coming out in the near future. On top of that, you can check out some of my previous videos here, such as on the left talking about the possible Christmas event coming out soon, and then on the right, my week 2 challenges guide. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.